Okay, Stephen. Now, cunning plan possibly that your father had, because I've tried it with my children. Who fancies coming racing with Daddy? And if it works, it's going to work, isn't it? But some children might have resented that and rebelled. Obviously not you. So, do you remember that first day you went, and what was it about the racing that got you hooked?
Well, do I remember the first day when I was 3? Probably not, but I remember going to Cartmel quite a bit. And I certainly remember, as I said, that '93 season was fantastic. And then I think my dad got me, he wouldn't do it now, he got me an autograph book, and of course it would be the Lancashire Oaks in '94, and Frankie Dettori lands in a helicopter, and 7-year-old me goes and rugby tackles him, and I did the same to Cash Asmussen when he came. But yeah, so I loved doing that, and he'd put me a play spot on, and yeah, I generally love going racing, and I think it was a great help to my dad especially. There was some Burke in the Racing Post the other week saying kids shouldn't get free entry to race courses. Yeah. I mean, what a load of bollocks. It's racing's big selling point. You get your kids into racing early, they're free, and you know what? You've probably got a fan for life, haven't you?
Absolutely. Is there any sort of race, apart from your father, going back in your family? Is there any sort of racing background?
I think my granddad had a bet. My mother doesn't like shows. Stephen, I don't like betting. My sister doesn't like going racing. So no, it was a dad and lad thing. It's still it. Look, I go with him every Saturday. He's 70 now, and I still go racing with him every single Saturday. We do 3 days at Goodwood every year. I think it's really good. It's just our thing, and I'll keep doing it till he pops, I think.
70's relatively young these days.
Yeah.
So, did your dad teach you the rudiments of betting? Because these days, as we all know, we're not allowed to bet. So, did he sort of explain to you about the fractions and?
He never explained about
and stuff like that.
No, I taught all that myself. My dad is a far smaller punter than I am. He can be pretty good at times. I remember he went through the card at Newcastle on Ida Day about 15 years ago, which was remarkable. He'd get the Sporting Life as it was then. I'd read it, and you almost teach yourself, don't you? He'd say, oh, this is such and such a body, this is such and such a body, and I'd watch what he did, and then go from there. So he taught me a bit. I probably learned a hell of a lot more about betting with Joe Brick, because when you see it on the other side of the fence, as a punter, I like to behave as a bookmaker, if that makes sense, because they generally win.
When you go around the paddock, where did you learn that? Where did you learn what to look for there?
Don't know. I think it's like human beings, isn't it? If a horse looks fat, if you've got this isn't necessarily politically correct, but if you've got 2 women pining after you and one is about 30 stone and one's 7 stone, I don't think you need to be a genius to work out which one you're going to go for. That's a very simplistic thing.
It's all in the eye of the beholder, Steve.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is, but
you just got cancelled.
Yes, yeah, I have, haven't I? But it's similar to looking at horses in the paddock. You look at horses who are fat, and you look at some of the things they do. They can be very stroppy at times, horses. I don't know how true this is, but Dad always says this. Horses have got the size of a golf ball. They're not particularly intelligent beings. So if one's getting completely stewed up 10 minutes before a race, you can bet that during the race it's gonna act the Mickey. And there's all sorts of things you see in the paddock. Somebody told me a story about here. I wasn't here actually, but they tried to land a gamble on a horse not that long ago, and they tried to make it look like it was sweating by putting whipped cream on the saddling cloth. Unbelievable.
I've heard stories about soap suds and things like that in the past. Now, in mitigation for you, I did have a trainer tell me once, I'm pretty sure in an interview, that if you see 2 girls walking down the street, you know which one you fancy.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're obviously, you've already mentioned that you're a family man. So how much does that curtail your lifestyle as a gentleman of the turf?
What I say to the missus is she can have a 10-day holiday every year and we'll do a week in Cromer, which just so happens to have Yarmouth running that week, so and Newmarket, and I'll go to Thirsk on the way home. But you can model things around it. So you could say, I might say to Phoebe, because I will one day, oh, we'll go to Legoland. Well, I know Legoland. There might be an evening meeting at Windsor, for example. So you sort of just you work things around things, and I mean, my wife, I love her to bits. She's very understanding. Let's put it like that.
Okay, is she understanding enough for you to have actually got involved financially in an actual horse?
Yes.
And how did that go?
Well, I'll tell you, because I've got ones, not these micro syndicates. I mean, I think they're the biggest rip-off in the world, because if you add them up, it doesn't make sense. But I've probably got a few 5% shares, so it's not stupid, and it just keeps me interested, and I'll get an owner's badge or whatever. So long as she's happy, and that's fine. I don't tell her how much it costs.
Now you're fairly well known now on the racing scene. So you see other fairly well known people on the racing scene heading up syndicates, stuff like that. Is that something that you think would be another sort of?
I think I'd want to be fair about it. So infer into that what you will, but I think there are far too look. People refer to them as gravy trainers, don't they? Now, some of them are, and some of them are not. But I think what I would never want to be is a racing personality who completely milks the man on the street. And I think far too much of that goes on. I mean, it worries me. There's two things which I can't get over. Horse Race Bettors Forum is apparently the Punter's champion. I mean, it's just run by a load of balding middle-aged men who there's no charisma whatsoever in them. Get somebody to be some sort of Punter's champion and go with concerns, and then work with the bookmakers. The second thing is, racegoers, this is the second biggest spectator sport in the country, attendance-wise. You know that, don't you? Nobody represents them. I mean, I represent them at Haydock, but nobody. But I got bollocked the other week at a racecourse I won't name, and I was lucky enough to get owners in there, and I got a cup of coffee, and I put 2 cups in it, and the waitress came storming over to me and said, "You're not allowed to do that." I mean, I think racecourses need to treat people with more respect, is what I'm saying, and nobody seems to feed this in to be it the BHA or whoever it is, because that'll get more people racing. We've got a great product, haven't we?
Yeah, at least Wolverhampton today, they did give us a box for free, which we're
They
in at the
did.
moment,
They
so
did. It's lovely in here.
Right, 2 questions left, Stephen. Racecourse is full of characters, which I would say, respectfully, you're definitely one. Do you have any sort of favourite characters, past or present?
I remember there was a fella, I only saw him once. It was back in 1994 at Uttoxeter, so I'd be 7 or 8. He got talking to me, and my dad, and he owned a horse with Thurlow Donnelly. Tim Ely was on it. He was called Baxter, and he did give me some advice. He said, never trust slow horses and fast women. So I've always followed that. So he was a character. Look, I remember I was taking my mother's car up to, I told her I was going to Haydock. This was a mini metro, probably 20 years ago, and obviously it couldn't go very fast. I thought, oh, sod this, I'll go to Hamilton. So takes a mini metro, does 90 mile an hour all the way up the M6, blows the engine 10 miles short of Hamilton. Oh, bloody hell. Car's completely written off, wasn't worth much anyway. And I get to the station, and there's Tommy, who I still know now, goes everywhere on the train, and little Billy, who's dead, and people like that. There's a cohort of northeastern regulars who because I went to uni in Durham, and I used to see them on the train every day, and they're great characters. Tommy had a heart attack at Newcastle, thought it was heartburn. Luckily, the St John's ambulance was there, and he's lived to tell the tale.
So finally, you don't want me to mention what your proper job is, but you do still have a proper job in inverted commas. But you say you make most of your money betting.
Yeah.
Is the ambition to bin the proper job and make all your money betting, or at least from racing, your racing interests?
I'm a bit of a pussy, really, because I know I could probably do it. So what I would say is it would never solely be from betting, because betting solely is a risk. Now, I might have done that 5-6 years ago, but I go back to Phoebe. She's age 5. I've got to get her through life, and I couldn't live with myself if I happened to have a couple of bad years and then it all came up in flames. And yeah, that's why.
So is there an immediate plan?
There's no immediate plans. I think my plan generally, if I can go racing more, that makes me happy, and if I can make money from it, good. But I don't want to make money the wrong way, if that makes sense. I certainly don't want to be doing what some people do and just completely milk the game. You've got to give a little bit back, haven't you?
Okay, well, you've given a little bit back to us today, given us your time, Stephen. Stephen Darbyshire, thank you very much.
Thanks, Simon.